이분들 잘했어. 다 유쟁이들 되지. 유쟁이들 주들라 가자 셰바 주기긴다 숨세라다. 유쟁들라다 숨세라 가자.
Subject and object. We finished the object part. Now we are going on to the subject. Page 238. This section has three parts: persons, consciousnesses, and terms.
Kanza Shidugala Soldin. Della Kanza Sibol. Then Sheba. Rather Jujiginda Jaguar. Anjay Courage teaching. Ta Lungi Jenangi Pum Ta Tigala Tambu Kanza the condition is the Kachi and Tigala Lungi Jenan Pumbi Yun Kanza the Tinsi. I'll tell Jedama than Rabashaga Jedama Pumbunga Sotum Kanza the Tinsi Jamba. That is those. 소금 지난 말이야. 공비 윤디. 같이 같이 그냥 공비 윤 가서 지지다. 리비 지나기 남시 가자기 이긴 남시 가서 지진도도 세가라다 다존기 넘버 2 로 인자 고 다존자는 예고에 차고 다존자는 다 예고에 인구거디 다시 다 공부 리비제랑기 다 삼다다데 가르잖아 풍부 심딜라니 주도 막 풍부 나이와 진도 야는 가자 나차도 이렇게 인주가라 다지 풍부데 신디에니 개버도 집어지 근데 가자 생인디 민치니 에 여왕같이 더더 벌써도 로건지 우와 인주가라 남시 기긴디 누가 이긴 남시데 다 바기 고 윤주디 유행인지 인자 어다 이 두바이 이긴 남시데 간사를 챙긴 자고 다디 룽이제라다 리비제라잖아 바기 몸반 저기 제가 시드심이 지순당은 아니 제가 막 이준다 몸반 저기 지순당은 되게 되나 룽이제 제라서 거래 오다 세마 디딩기 지순당엔들라 리비제라서 거래 온 사파기 룽자마인바 니페 랑기 제바치니 텐디바네니 이라 리비지순당엔세 오다 도스티비가라 오다티 리비제랑기 어디 파절 가자게 지지 다 선잠베 군신남신도 와 아니 나저주베 말하기에 이게 남신도 와 바다를 챙기라 어디 이제된 도대 바다 가자게 챙지 야바단 이게 남신 가자게 챙지 야바단 되게 바다 나 우마라기 바데 아전 잡 집바래 어디 도스체
Assertion regarding object possessors or subject. This section has three parts: person, consciousnesses, and terms. The first is the person. Person generally refers to something with the consciousness, and here we can see two different illustration based on the two different sub-school of the Sutra school. So the followers of scriptures said that continuum of aggregate is an illustration of a person. That is, continuum of the aggregates is the person. The followers of reasoning said that the mental consciousness is an illustration of a person. So the followers of scriptures and the followers of reasoning, the differences between these two, as we mentioned before, if you want to look back, it's on page 222. Why one is follower of scripture and why one is for the followers of scriptures, the former are mainly proponents of sutra who follow Vasubandhu's treasury of manifest knowledge. This is the scripture that they follow mainly. And then the reasoning, they follow mainly Dharmakirti's 7 treatises on prime cognition. So these two sub-school. And when we look at these two, for the second one, the followers of reasoning assert that the mental consciousness is an illustration of a person. According to this sub-school, followers of reasoning, to this school, if something is designated, it should be findable. So under that kind of context, they try to find what is this person. And they don't, the followers of reasoning as the mental consciousness, which is actually the sixth aggregate, if you know the aggregate. So they don't, first 5 aggregates are not the consciousness, because if they assert that, then they will be, since they are, 5 aggregate, the consciousness will be also 5. So they kind of, consider or accept the mental consciousness, which is the 6th, of the aggregate, and the mental what is person, it's different from when you look at the different school has the different school has a different interpretation of what person is, or the illustration of person is. So for the mind-only school, illustration of person to them is, this will come later. They call it mind basis of all consciousness. Samzambachek, the dotewa the
Umare du bani dabora. To be each in them say, Kanza Tsinji Japan dabora.
Yes. And middle way autonomy school has sort of similar ways of interpreting what is illustration of person, like the followers of reasoning school. They middle way autonomy school, to them they also cite mental consciousness. So here, self, I and person are considered as having the same meaning, these three. So having said that, you can examine whether these are, valid way of saying this or not. When you talk about yourself, when you have a headache, what is actually having a pain? Is this the the mental consciousness? Or so you can kind of just think about all these different expression that we use in relating to self or person.
Tenets by Yamanga Kaza, the Kaza was a good Tamatus of the General cigar. Tendera member Kaza sing the digital and package.
So when we say, the person, we should have at least better understanding than what, this Geshe-la mentioned kind of short story, there's a nomad guy, he visited Drepung Monastery, before, and when he visited before, he saw monks debating on this topic, which in English is a person, in Tibetan it's called Kangsa, they are debating whether, what is Kangsa, what is person, and, nature, and he, the Kangsa in another, it also, it is also named for the smoking pipe, that nomad guy, he used to smoke, so he has that pipe holding in his hand, and so, he visited the second time and he saw monks debating on the same topic, and he said that last year I came and you guys are all fighting on same this smoking pipe, and this year I came again. Now one of you can keep this, so so Geshe-la said we shouldn't be at least having that kind of level of ignorance, especially learning, going through. So at least kind of we know what is. Self or person is, and how this is kind of defined or interpreted by different school of thoughts.
Shiva Chichin, science buggy, Kavachiora. Kachi science buggy, Lipid Saturday, Tendila. Kushiba Tensijilla. Pagi, Winzin Chigaro, mother, Wambu, then Sadila, then the Tembachini, Temba ten Gang Tinji de la Nipe Nizukia God. That's a marva, Shiba City, Sanjuba. Lepi Lezate, Zujin Ridior. Some marva. Only Shiva Singh, the literature. There are watching as a conza, not here, the digital was Chagua. Ninga Chimbo, the Suda, Yongormuji. Looking on Kava, Sunjinala, Nala Toma Yume, Tama Yume. Any mats in the condition within Chigame, not number to the motto, Yang Sumuda. Ninga Chimbo, using the mena, Yormusti. Yandu Sungwe Yomara Chantung Jipadi Dakin Sunjimarwa. Using Chimbujiar, from that Chimbur. You know to say it on what the package is.
So, self or I or person, we used very often in our day-to-day life, but it is kind of, as a student of Buddhist tenets, it's important to kind of go beyond, kind of satisfying, what self is. So here, we say that, my hand is not feeling well, or my headache, I'm having headache. So, but when we use this expression, but actually what we are saying is you are talking about yourself. So, so you can ask question, are you head, of your body, or are you hand of your body? So, when you say I, or me, or mine, where does that actually refers to? Where is that I-ness? And finding a consciousness within our body is not easy. And actually, the scientists, modern scientists, does the same thing. But what they do is they point their finger to the basis or foundation of the consciousness, not the consciousness itself. So, they try to identify, kind of pointing to the basis of the consciousness, the brain, not actual consciousness itself. So, the basis or the foundation or the brain where consciousness resides is not the consciousness. Consciousness is totally different from that. As we always say, it's kind of, illuminatory, knowing a part, not, the kind of, something that is, kind of like an object or having a tangibility. And His Holiness also kind of during most of his teaching, he reminds this to us often, kind of finding about the nature of the self or person, whether the self or a person has a beginning or ending, and how can we identify whether the self or person exists independently or not. So when he raised this topic again and again, this kind of remind us that this is something that we need to be concentrating upon. And of course, His Holiness, when he say again and again, his reputation is not like somebody who was drunk and then say again and again. When he says and repeat, this has some kind of meaning. This is something kind of important for us.
England ki issue chhe chi yam go ji ji do nga so pe misi ban gat ki zingare any gat ki phagi ta zudan zulu tisu gadi immin gat khonang gadi immin nishe den gat ki zingare ti yam sam bore se sundu se yam go ji sunji ni sunda te zone se nga so nga sigor yundu nga togo to no nga nagi no nga chagi no cheche tai nga mitsu gyasa marana marsam jomete yam samboji relapse zone ji chabaina cancer chagro yaumida jaza tatte thana nambi tuta ma shojina phagi sinji ki namshe se phubi gyuna tana gyunwa thone tuta ome dojula gyundu tane tuta komi dojulu be 차로 누구와 인주가라 즉 오메기 가리 뉴주들의 균 가르도 공미 섬노 공바 지당 가르도 푸기 섬노다나 가르도 되죠 섬당과의 차로가 되지 두스 섬노 양양도 다나 니마자 때문에 지 누가 생식이 남실래 자와야 돼 유전지 누가 삼성 연구로 근데 대가가 당교에 때잠만 봐 민경 따요점 시리가라 당원이 당이 이베 당에도 민점 다점기 자체 통문지를 자용도 가라 델리 차로 차고 이게 나라도 레 당보 로라 사람 민데나 임지지디 제나 롤 취야지를 맞다 헛대가 롤 취야 매든지 차디요 그런가 그 미스비게 첨부되지
So, as said before, we always use I and my, in our day-to-day life conversation. But, it is, good if we know, what we are saying about ourselves. Because otherwise we might end up saying that, I is something, non-expressible, something that, cannot be, explained or described. And then it became kind of, sort of strange for ourselves, although we are learning what I or mine or person is here. And related to this, His Holiness once visited England, and he met, a father, and who told him that, His Holiness that, about Christian philosophy of everything created by God, and God also made sort of unknown that how these are created by Himself to the human. So that said we might become like like that we know kind of we are learning something here, but we need to know what we are talking about basically. So here, when we look at the Buddhist school of thoughts, as we go up higher and higher, we learn what person or self according to the lower school, and we can examine whether this lower school, they use kind of mental consciousness as the illustration of a person. Is this valid or not? Or what are the criticism that you can bring about and debate, bring up debate for this. And as you go up, what are the person according to the higher school of thoughts? So and again kind of analyze, use reason. And so when we reach kind of highest level of the school of thoughts, middle way consequent schools, they says that it's a simply designation, imputation, and there's nothing kind of existing substantially from object side. It's simply imputed, but at the same time, the imputation of the phenomena does function. It does function in our day-to-day life. So, these are the things you can reflect upon, think, and try to understand what different schools are saying about what self or person is.
That the 와셔서지 대용다. 맞아. 거기니 내지 저거는 소용도 갈라 민감 윤리기 된데 소거다. 엔델나네. 귤레튼. 에 디부트야데 귤레트 라레다. 또 신이 윤리기 된데 또. 이니 자고 분별이라 이 송도 갈라 일제어 살 가게. 아까 하기 그럼 파전이 내면이 또 면이야. 하 뇌 윤리 그 귤은 디부께와던 디부라 디부길을 때문에 좋아돼 민감 다좀 기자제 대투야 민경 따였던지 이수노다 다티는 걸로 탐이 갑도다 이니 일제 어살데 원에 가기 내면을 아신기 파전 다른 가수 니니 따디 갈라 이 빼자데 때가는 예배 소리지 때가는 낭줄다도 좀 되는 소리지 number 좀 더 보세요. 난기어래 아주 신기어래 나신이데 다가는 예배 전지 아주 통과 오늘째는 가기때지 된다는 다른 로이나 특히 차시 젠 로이나 라야 메바다 근다 즉 줄팅기 가게 생기바다 남비 생기바다 파진 로디다 치부지 그냥 튕겨라다 젠이 파 젠 로디가라 라야 메바다 튕겨 이나야 따쳐버 가르쳐래 남비 곰불루두 땅 거기 아렌데왈라서가 되기디 민형 따여전 탕에 돼 자투고 코 거긴 되면 마주 마야 민당 다선 탕에 따여전 민형 따여전지 탕이 돼 자투고 이 자투가 쳐버 티 쳐버 틴 튕용고이나 당한서 이 간디스 튕고도 개방 안 맞이 간디스 송도 우불루루라서 봐 Tati pagi ludu ko risotto ta. Nani lebe papa lagi umaji kya pala soba. Jadi dici. Ini ta. Yang tu samata. Yang tu samata na. Ini cik nepa nyaya jida atsi. Ila cik pagi tangi pagi cetum mena yang. Tangi tisang le yunde chachi sun chatu ya yobare siwa hakoji yungi kir samgudus tinju tetsu chi tanade te chembare tu sat te batu gwar
and when we look at the teaching of the Four Noble Truths by Buddha himself, the teaching starts with the cause and effects, dependent origination, and later, the second turning of the wheel of Dharma in Vulture Peak Mountain, Buddha taught about simply labeling in the designation, does function, and designation and imputation are valid, and the third turning of the wheel of Dharma, Buddha mentioned about the phenomena doesn't exist as the way it appears to us when we look at the textbook in front of us. For us, the textbook appear to us as if this textbook exists independently out there, and not only we have that appearance, but we also have a grasping that this is the truth. This is how textbook exists to us, and we have both, kind of, which in reality is completely wrong. And so if it is correct, and if it's correct, then when we try to find on that textbook, that textbook should be findable, but that is not the case. Here, finding the textbook itself on the when you try to break down different parts of the textbook, it's not findable. It's same as kind of to modern science as well as to Buddhist scholars. When you try to break down into pieces, and where is that the textbook ness on that textbook, it's not findable. So and the Buddhist concept related to this we find in the text of Nagarjuna and Aryadev, and 6 heaps of teaching about middle way school by Nagarjuna, and then Aryadev's text 400 stanzas or verses of a middle way school. In these texts we find about the middle way philosophy of how phenomena exist in reality, and based on this kind of understanding, we can sort of further investigate how things exist in reality.
아니 차질했더니 차라더니 차진 근데 차진 뒤두기 땡들이 송도 뒤두기 땡들 때에 니가 다여 좀 기텐데 딱 민감 다점 그래서 개발돼 땡들 나라에 수거래 공진 지명 보게 땡들 누리 방저서 그냥 세고요. 그거는 거기 가서 맞아. 데레도 나도 삼바나라 맞아. 투투바서 되지. 빼때. 예스. 그러지. 땡도 나지. 딘진디 그런. 근데 나도 가라 파기니여 봐. 딘도 가라 맞아 나. 덴투블레 데낭 텔레 파기 젬번 가서 나와다 젬바니 차이 리도안 짐베나네 나쟁이 차이니 이는 뜻뜻 나그마도 방통 마르송도 나람래 마도 인디기 렌두데 도게 까투고와 엘레 베난다 젠젠테도 차이 나 그마도 방통 마르세 테레송도 뜻뜻 코 바기 진타당 계속 강리 돌아 삼로당 이안이도 제바제고에 배미스럽게 좀버려 어떻게든지 위 인디가라 오곰게디가라 오곰게디 말씀드렸다 아주 바기 군진 자제바기 돈자자네 시tip추나 갈린 데미니즈소 시tip들라 딘진 빠자다 제바당 레낭테 수자고 와래 데마 나쟁이데 타말웨 나쟁 수디가라 타말웨 간디스난 거래 레낭 일레 나와도 젬바 이니 pet Tamal Najendi, Nagi Pancha Jagadwa. Denandi, Dogi, Pantu War. Eat Keper condition go to Tizo, they Vajavar. Shit, Dinzin Pacha, the shit of the Jaguar. Pacha Sudugala Pagi Penang as a legisa, lay the Pachang or Pogua. Pacha Putigala lay Pacha Wujidi to buy Ishi Jaguar. To buy Ishi, Pacha Wuji Jaguar, Pacha Wuji. That is Opa the Masona. Pacha Ku Pagi Latin Gania, leading more Pachang or Pogua. He carries no Opa the Zona Wondi, Zondigina Zona, Opa the Tenshana, Opitima the Tanu Wondi in Digido. This only Pacha. This is Petinistan, Pacha Sindi, Wadi, Lentu War. The two Chidigal, Shituata, only the Zukan, the watching Bushua. Zukun Bajibuba.
So I said before, the Four Noble Truths. The first turning of the wheel of Dharma, Buddha mentioned about the dependent origination, cause and effect. And during the second turning of the wheel of Dharma, Buddha mentioned about the dependent origination of path and the main the main object and its different parts, or as said before, the validity of the designation or labeling. And so although the truth grasping can be eliminated by relying upon sutra teaching, but the subtle mental imprints has to be eliminated through tantric practices. And a treasury of knowledge and a scripture by Kunchen Jigme Wangpo. In the text, this great master says that appearance of phenomena as if they are independently existing. This kind of appearance is considered as the subtle kind of delusions or defilements, and these appearance and grasping to these kind of appearance has to be eliminated through tantric practices or tantric path. And here the imprints and it is also mentioned in the Kunchen Jaman Shepa in his text. In his text he says that from the true obscuration, the delusive and wisdom obscuration refers to the what is called mental imprints of truth grasping mental imprints. And again, mental imprints here refers to the appearance of phenomena as if they are independently existing. And so the mental imprints, when we say mental imprints, the simple example would be if you use ball to crush garlic, after crushing garlic, the ball still smells garlic. So that is like kind of mental imprints behind, although you have eliminated the negative mentalities.
Nipa la tsema da tsemi lo nis apake shebade tsema da tsemi lo ni tsema la ngoson tsema jesu babe tsema tsema ngusum tsemata Jesu pepe tsemata ngusum ki tsema la wangbe ngusum igi ngusum rari ngusum naja ngusum tsemata jis tate dushine wa ngusum tsema la tat tsemi kebarda dushine gores ta wangbe ngusum ta kanisi chakwa wangbe ngusum tsende ta nishi ungre nishi kachi tangpo nashi kachi tangpo vishi kachi tangpo dekite kanga wangbe ngusum chade yore iki ngusum rari ngusum naja ngusum lada ta iki ngusum dela ta ngarang ju tanda ishi ta kachi tangpo dang tsemala ani kachi tangpo te nipa meche jeshe la pare inaya yun naja ngusum senginde tage ta karsore tena palam thamde ke nyamjabi ki nyamja ishi tu naja ngusum de ane rari ngusum senginde ani jinam yangar rari ki senginde jimbe na kaji sheba chi yuldi che ne sheba chi yuljin che shene kaji chi uzuen namba mayimba nang shebe namba chande ne sheba jila rari siko
Consciousness is prime cognition and non-prime awarenesses are the two types of consciousnesses. There are two types of prime cognitions, direct prime cognitions and inferential prime cognitions. Direct prime cognitions are of four types. Direct prime cognitions that are sense direct perceptions, mental direct perceptions, self-cognizing direct perceptions, and yogic direct perceptions. So the sense direct perceptions are the perceptions directly perceived by senses like eye, ear, nose, tongue, and the 이익은 무슨 벗었는데? 이익은 무슨 배? Mental direct perception is the first moment of the mental perception, and from the second moment, it becomes
제시.
subsequent cognition. We mentioned this before. So the first moment is always prime cognition, and then from the second moment it becomes subsequent cognition. And self-cognizing direct perceptions, self-cognizing direct perception, self-cognizing perception, for the self-cognizing perception, the subject and the object are both consciousness. So consciousness, perceiving or looking at another consciousness. The yogic direct perception is the perception of the practitioners who attained the path of seeing, or spiritual being, or arhat, or you can say this is a consciousness of the practitioners who is at the meditative equipoise.
다 딘디 인디가라 세미칭이 간데 자고는 sartu milidu dipa semetingi jagu ware lu sartu milidu dipa sigoda milu asidigala yul agi chit thulu amaimba et yul temba nawa
Your prime cognition, it's also in your note. Prime cognition is defined as a new and incontrovertible knower. A prime cognition, therefore, must be both valid, new, and valid. So the valid here refers to, although it is a new, first time perceiving, but it shouldn't be misconceiving or something, wrong or misconception.
나중에 좀라 참아만 바자고 말해. 아야 되게 버치는 거래. 봐도 스테이지. 나중에 좀 참아다지. 엄보 수제마다 참아면로데 사리기 동진 랑기 유리 잘미도 비치르스. 바티 가르서 거라. 아, 드라마하고 원봉우 원보수진 받 참아인 쓰고도 가르전에 실버 코람도네 실버 토메레이스 에니스 비파르도 집에 주데 집에 통구로 와시 제가 원보수진 받 참아 원보수진 받 쿠토지 인자 쿠시바 바기 시바 토거 토 인자 네 원보수진 실버파르도 집에 주도 통통고 와 말이 이 규진 직전에 원보수진 받 참아인 쓰고도 단 니기다 원보 주제는 세마마로다 사리그 동안 랑기 유리잘 두고 말이지 아니베 사리기 시밤 시베 땐잠을 마도 그 그랑기 베기 윤잘 베까지 말해서 뭐 하지 인디가랑 아주 가르사 완된 코파들라 땐지기 원보 땐중기 원보서 자고도 땐지기 원보 쓰디가라 자와 지신비 왕보들라 땡지기 왕보 시고래 마다티 셰바샤고 말해 그래봐 인제니 땡충기 왕보 시디가라 가르자 땡충 바로 왕보 자와치고 말해 땡니베 니시디기 땡진 데거르데 왕보 자와치고 말해 왕보 자와 마치니 군일로베 같은 왕보도 땡중 왕보를 자고도 아 잘로 왕보 니로베 니토볼로베고 니로베 갑이 왕보도 땡중 왕보를 자고 아 그래서 왕보도 이 주랑레마도 대셔봐 말해. 너도 왕부수지 말해. 참아 균이 내가 인젠두고 말아. 어때 제가 마치 보래. 사리 또 랑이를 믿기지. 어때 두스네 유전 띠고고도.
Page 240, the physical senses such as an eye sense are not suitable to be prime cognitions. Because lacking being luminous and knowing, they are incapable of comprehending their objects. So if you think back about the lower school, grade exposition school, they considered physical senses as prime cognition, valid. But school above grade exposition school, they don't interpret the same way. So therefore, in the higher school, we will find later that the physical senses like eye sense, it can be kind of further, sort of categorized into different stages. For example, eye senses, or the functioning eye senses. That means the eye, it is not only physical sense, but it also has a consciousness. So the eye is actually kind of functioning with its consciousness, and they also have a stage where they call it sort of suitable to the senses, which actually refers to eye sense or eye organ without the consciousness, without consciousness functioning. That means at the time of sleeping or when you are not watching, you have this eye sense or eye organ, but the eye consciousness is not functioning. So, but when you look at the lowest school, they don't categorize this way.
뒤지다가 와서 다는 미동안 잘해도 뒤지로 미 왕보리 경우전 미실의 견실도 안 말아. 이제는 견실해 거라요 말. 이거 왕불을 견실되가 왕부 수지인데 괴간에 밖에 견디 셀투나 아니 살겨와. 니시 거라는 견실은 하다 왜 거라면서 견실해 거라요 말. 이제 거라라 살지기 토메 차대가 시바게.
So the I consciousness, can never, get it never get hurt or never get, because when we have a eye problem, what it happens is the problem is at the the physical, the eye or the physical organ, not the consciousness itself. Because consciousness, itself is the consciousness is something that we can't touch. It's not tangible physically. So the problem, when we have a problem with the eye organ itself, then it is fixable. Otherwise, if there's something problem or something wrong with the eye consciousness, probably it won't be able to fix it. So the consciousness that is based on organs, physical organs, are considered as all gross level consciousness. So the consciousness that doesn't use physical organ as its basis are considered as a subtle consciousness, much subtler.
근데 내가랑 아주 곰 자기 쉐바데 치선 타루 이치디가라 아니 쉐바 타몽 원투 끼르는데 가라 차서 균이 깨투 말해서 돼 여름 송도 하대 그래서 근데 또 돌렌데게 송도 아니 덴디기 셀산 뇽삼들이 지데 마음베 템바 데베 템바 차려용해 마음바는 빼 가르지 웅교와다 차려용했는데 네 용도 송도
So, as the practitioner, practice meditation, and as they reach higher and higher, they can reach at the level where, the consciousness has to rely upon, the physical organ. And at that level, the consciousness becomes so subtle that negative mentalities can't, generate or can't exist, and also at that level, the practitioners can kind of some, glance of future or past, life.
안때난다 이로 똑바들, 아주 두바이 시대. 그래 할레비 배 공모 차른로야다 시우지에 살아. 근데 이로 똑바되기 하기 랑모니 디치디가라 예 두바이 가사 하기 셈세리 코랑 인용차고 그러는데 다 에센스로 와. 근데지 뭔데 끼르는데 갈라 차소대 띵올이 깨투 말해지. 덴덴 말해지. 세야돼. 잠바당 재활로서 봐. 아니 가 예, 두바이 20%는 잠바당 올래 깨투 그랬습니다. 잠바당 재활로서 봐. 심기인데 땡땡지. 곰나 곰바 탐에 또 별루인데 저서 딱 거지 갈라. 땡땡바 임바다 두바이 20일. 코페 템보다 유주메죠. 이거는 가츠지 이제나 잠재대 아니베 상황 통해야요. 잠재 코랑베 잠바다 제와 되기도 그 두번 이시공을베 게투고요. 차소도 생이 뛰어내서 생이 뛰인다 가르서 그 안에베 지금 샘 타로 로디 갈라 그때 몰래 게투 말했어. 계속도. 양전지도.
And the sixth mental consciousness, and as we said this before, when we try to generate, the qualities of mind, the positive qualities like compassion, love, altruistic mind, these are the qualities of the mind because we can generate this to such an extent that this will generate in the nature of the mind itself, the consciousness itself, while the negative mentalities cannot generate or transform into the nature of the mind. So that's the reason we use these are the positive qualities, love, compassion, altruistic mind, because as you practice and practice and generate, you will reach the point where you can generate these positive qualities as the nature of your mind. But the negative mentalities can exist with the highest or the subtlest level of the mind. So therefore the negative mentalities are considered as non-virtuous mentality or defilements and delusions that so they can exist with the subtle nature of the mind. So we just said we'll stop here if you have any questions.
Hard to answer. No, then.
Happens 238. We were talking about. Let's see if I can even figure out what my question was. It has to do with when they were talking. Something, put in front of us and behind us, like the future was, it seemed like there was a time element. It was in relation to the time. So the different schools have a different sense of the free time also. I guess that's my question. Because the way the wording was, what came to me is that it was about the past and the future.
It's on page 234.
I know the three times are on, but then you started referring it was about the frequencies and contract ethics on the same time.
Oh, okay.
And on the higher school, they never existed at the same. Because of that? Yeah, because of that. That is also, I guess the question is that also in relationship to the different concepts of how they look at the past, future, the time. It was almost like the past existed before the present. But it seemed like when we were talking about that, what was coming to me was that part of this difference is also in relationship to how the different schools look at time as well as talking back and their existence, simultaneously or non-simultaneously. But it also brings in a component of the concept of the time.
Demo tada sumjora di desi kedi zambul en digi demo tada de sum desi nyamdo kebdu kalen to the sosugi tuju lana kandi jigume digi desi jadan shoro di parade nyamdo kengo to to di real tuju sidan tuju la joro tuju la de kandi jil shago me to the sosugi
tuju sigada tuju gune jagor ma ta tuju kora dire sigin jin do chigil tun chi ja David Tizigala, 코 달달을 때는 코 헬짐바든 가짐바지는 데바스 자고 거라 마오바스 되가라 코 케적이 이기네 게 마상 이든 가지 마케바지 자고라 그 저도 질 때는 자고는 마다 다 지든 디리스데 믿어.
So the the concept about the time, there's no time which is sort of concrete, independently existing. So when they talk about something future, they are talking in relating to the present. And when they talk about past, they talk about past something in kind of relating to the present. So the three times are when they talk or interpret, they interpret in such a way that all three are interdependent.
Because they're referring to something.
직번직이야래 초스리가 나가서 초시 샤르로 눕장세 거라. 다 가봤지 그거. 거기도 잘 다투도 제베더니. 다투 인데긴지 균입니다. 지들이 지자고로 말아. 지사들랑 자고도 아니 길는데 샤르로 눕장세 지기로 말아.
So the same concept applies to the direction, east, west, south, north, and we usually kind of, everything kind of comes down to where you are, standing, and then you kind of, relative, not, there's something is always, is all the time, it depends on where you sit and how you define.
In Tibetan Buddhist philosophy, it seems like time is not an independent thing that performs a function, but rather that it arises dependent on energy. Is that correct?
Quran jabo tu Quran rangone yobalo tas tu Quran so suji yobato mi tu di shembajo tene kala ore kede gelo chade gelo ore ne de gelo tu de jelo tu
뒤에 보라 크지 영인지에나 투두지 예소나 뒤로 걷다 하는 내고라 이미도 뒤매하다도 그 그렇다 던져고는 자고요다 세고대도
conditional
뒤 코랑 수두지 예나 그때가 내고라 템부진 용구라.
So if time itself exists kind of from its own side independently, then it should be existing that way all the time. That is not the case. So it has to be kind of the way we count time, or we look at the time, it's kind of interdependent. We say it's night because of the daytime. So kind of. So there's. So there's no time by itself, always past or always present or always future, and same thing with the directions. So all relative.
It would be interesting to have a discussion of that in light of understanding Buddhism. But because we in the West are socialized to think of time as something that happens on a clock. And it doesn't. And so, and of course it doesn't, but...
So that's, I said, the clock time is just one way of, consideration. It's just, it doesn't have to be, this is the time.
But then in terms of Einstein's theory of time and all that, I mean, that is
saving community.
They love saving time. Yes, it really kind of accords with the designation that we do for other stuff, especially when we look at the daylight saving time. we say that now, we change the clock and this is the time, that we all agree. So,
Yeah, for like daylight savings. Not in Indiana.
So if it exists from, it's from there, then it shouldn't be changing. It should be there as if it is not, depend on our conception. So if it exists completely independent of our conception, then it doesn't need any change.
Father Tananda, Lama Tananda, Amit Tananda, Mujike the John Zitana. Kutagan Zundu Kunjon Chabarama, Matakulu Kunjan Yomara, Jintara. Gazi Kunjon, Imakain, Tambu, Jetamin Kunjon, only Kipur.
The same thing with, when we name, a person, a newborn baby, whoever, designate or gave a name, John by father or Lama or parents. And after designation, that baby became a John from that time onwards. And before that, nobody considered that baby as a John. And if he is John from his own side, he should be born as a John. So that John should be a part of nature of that newborn baby, but it is not. It became John only after designation.
In the relation to the example of a seed produces sweet corn, let's say, it always, I believe the words were, it always produces sweet corn. That's what that seed does. Is that an example of permanence?
이때 따박 때다 오시는 데에서 배신다는 누구 누바치송을 하다니. 이것도 좀 누베견데요. 견디다 ngamuke nube견은 다 가지고 ngamuke 되기로. 이 따박 배신의 되기로서.
Tapi beda marwa. Tapi gule ki maris tambo. Midabi hendi, tapi gule ka warwa. Tapi hendi. Tapi na midabi ina. Hendi ke mara kon tumu mai men nubi kenji war. Usi bala. Ngarmola ngamen nibai ne. Tawala tawi nibai ne. Kiral yu nibai ne tumu mai nubi kenji war. Nibai chidinji kenji war.
So, the very first step is, we already negated the permanent aspect of the thing. It's impermanent. And then, when we talk about, this seed has a unique ability to yield only sweet, fruit, we are talking about, the seed not only is impermanent, but it also has its own unique quality of not, producing everything, but it produced what it meant to produce. So it gets that, we can't say that that is an example of permanent.
What is it an example of?
Karegi pesha urus, karegi and the nubugi the genjura.
Nubekendi.
And I was kind of talking in this school. I thought maybe in this school it had a different view.
In this school, the example of impermanent.
Well, what is that phenomenon in this school?
It's not permanent. According to this school, this unique factor or condition is considered as impermanent.
That's interesting. But it's always there.
They could do a year, but also candy.
America, Jalcophone, Dirive, Tapareves, Louis Jalford Day or what? But don't they grow up?
Okay.
I usually saying that, you can say the same thing with America as a nation. It's been existing for more than a couple of 100 years, and it might exist for still more years. Yeah, so.
What is the difference between permanent and essential?
Well, Keba did all of the Tapa da Nubegi Keba Choro.
Tapa Sidugala Teninjia Mengingila Kuwares. Kichi Midaba Sidugala Midabala Yuzebic Wangi Jindo Yachita Timaimba Rang Tupsangini Kichi Jiving more to check to win Midabala Tara Nijamada.
So the permanent, as I said before, is never changing. But for the impermanent, can be at two levels. One is, impermanent from its very nature, from the very second moment of the.
Kesan pet tasan napa makan jadi iring kata top tu karpo cahaya guna minda. Tasan boleh nanti lensang karpo cahaya mulu cahaya guna minda. Ini ada karpo tu ni misal orang genjuran dongeng jiya tu. Di tamat tu tinggal tu hapu apa.
So the impermanent, the two level, one is more kind of easy to understand, gross level impermanent, that is, when something kind of encounter with the obstacles, accident, car accident, we know that car broke down, and it's very obvious sign that car is impermanent, and that is mainly because of the meeting with the obstacles or destructive forces. But there are also a second kind of much subtle level of impermanent, which I mentioned about turning hair into gray. It didn't turn gray yesterday, but the hair has the potential to turn into gray, and that potential is with the hair at the very beginning of the birth of us. So that is. But that happens really gradually, slowly.
Subtle impermanence.
Yeah, so subtle impermanence, and that is more difficult for us to understand.
Would that be an aggregate?
Pungbu shana digre so. Kaligal juwa tepre choda. Generally, we say that all composite phenomena has a subtle and gross level of impermanence. So every composite phenomena.
You take a run more to the game.
So the gross level of impermanence, as said before, that we perceive it when it encounters obstacle or destructive forces, and when it is lacking suitable conditions or factor to support its existence. And this is something that we can see here, feel. But the subtle impermanence is, as said before, when it came into being with this very nature of a changing, or so therefore we say that whenever there is a phenomenon coming into existence, we consider that phenomena as something totally new phenomena or new object. Yeah.
Yeah. Are you
Genetic variation is subtle and permanent. Genetic mutation.
So there's not a gene gate so one of gene gene to that so in the what motion to this race.
다 참은 뒤견지는 진을 주었던 처음 두고 와. 이런 두고 와. 진그럼 미다 봐도 이만은 주어 두고 와. 이만은 포도린 백 주어도 다해서 가버려.
그리고 그냥 더 진이 지진이 메다 뭐 담을 샤고 싶어서 그래서 지금 비통고 말로 소고 나오고 주어 두고
When Geshe-la was talking about the higher school and the film that exists on this level of designation, that designation is, did you say that the designation itself has functionality, or that the object that is being designated has functionality? And I have a two-part question.
the comedy 가서 단에 다디 다시게 체제치고 그래라로 이제 단에 호란되게 체제치고 그래 뭐보되게 샤워치고 그래서 좀더 고마도 단에 단 가서디 체제 태고를 저거제 태고를라로 저거제 태고 저거제디 단에 되게 샤워치고 그래 뭐보 다가랑 샤워치고 그래서
여기 되나 저다는 되나 그런라 얘네들 한이 따봤다가는 그냥 얘네 잡으러 왔어. 이게 저 가르치는 얘네 제레서 라브로 수지.
So example, yourself, you are, labeled as a gay male. And that, the labeling itself does a function because it tells that you are gay male, not somebody else. And whatever you does is the function that is. So when you do something, whatever activity, Geshe-la is asking, who is doing that? Is it doing, the name is doing that, or is it yourself that is doing all those activities?
That's the growth. And see what I well, and Sunday is my evil twin. So what I've been thinking about is that the middle way school says there's an ultimate conventional level of phenomena. And it seems to me that the conventional level keeps us mired in attachment. And so what I'm trying to figure out is if designation performs a function and the object also performs a function, then that makes sense to me in terms of why have a conventional level, because of cause and effect, and because of dependent relationships and so forth. Otherwise, the conventional level makes no sense in terms of philosophy, because ultimately what we're trying to cultivate is pure nature of the moment.
저제태조로 저제태되게 아니 군주된 바 임벌 아니 걸어오래 임벌 전다 하고도 서다 저제태기에 되게 제기 이 뭐랑 펜토도 서 하고야 더 군주된 바 임라 저제태기에 되게 이 마이나 안지단에 걸어오래 장마 걸어오래 동이 그런 시리라고 동번이 라고 그래. So you are just saying this is not a question, right?
Well, it seems like there's a difference between the intrinsic function and a designated function.
단에 도교셔라. 단에 따내게 자와체되다 아니 단에마다네 장외에 그 여바되게 자와체다 저라 등인 켜가 요로도서.
당연히 요한테 기는 매서.
So
that the Dojibilujana round to Burwa. That the Koma thank you as a Morangi. Thank you as the name round to Pinchago.
So it depends on what school you are based upon when you say this intrinsic and designated function. So the Sutra school says that they are phenomena which has its intrinsic nature, but higher school they don't interpret things having an intrinsic nature or true existence.
So in the higher school, what is the function of having a conventional level?
근데 공매로라 근접용어라 유저리 자제 가서 가리 근접용어 내리 자제 간데 태고를 나도 되거라.
Kunzumora.
No. 근접용어 다 디어로 가서 현타발이 아마도 근접용어 요레스. 근접용어 요디게 아니 자와 간데 치고를 나오면도.
Lembani Sirigala, Matangula, Lembani Sirigala. Cheba Ginimachi, Tadavans, Namacha, Zadi Kunzo. Cheba Chin, Chetra Mania, but Donam Demba.
So, according to the high school, we said truth, if we don't put anything under subject of analysis, whatever we find is conventional truth. So if something that we find only under analysis, investigation, and that is ultimate truth. So what is the differences between these two? The level of phenomena which is under investigation and which is not investigation but still findable. So you have to investigate and try to find what is findable and what is not findable.
We're working on it, right?
Assumption was
Wait until we talk about the higher school.
So these schools, they come in time again, but did they progress from the Great Exposition School and then it kind of converted out into the Super School? At different times and they would break off, kind of like the Christian religion. Kind of reminds me of looking at Christianity and you have the Episcopal and the Lutheran. All of them have some basic beliefs in common, but they kind of diverted from each one.
Tudo koma di ger kalikal tudo oma di kalikal tudo koma chado yoro sa issue na tudo dama buji kalor pa yawa chetu gedri yor dinang shi imbato shwelo
Tuta de gala sam tangpon doza tuba am tam chi tanti tujin drane bajile lagor was telo tuta oma maju poru yongor Elen. Ko tamjas je maro ko tuta ndiri hachi dinde ko dede betuda ina rari nindechi
tuta oma ne gaal to e de khali ka gaal to yore tuta
ome tane tuta komar maju ka ba yore tuta oma ta komar jungai yore oma da rangi khelen badale kyan thosan tuta ta sawa.
So the tenets, the very meaning of the tenets we mentioned in the text. The text says it's like you study and then you reach to the conclusion where you think that this is the final decision that you came upon, and you can hold on to that as long as you don't see any problem with contradiction. But as you see a contradiction, you can just give it up and move to the higher or switch to another. So it depends on the level of your understanding of the philosophy.
What to tell one you're more like her? You were too looking like that. The woman to the killing, Hamakona, the command Roya or a Capra.
He said he has a friend, who wants straight to go to high school of thoughts. He don't want to go to lower schools. So for those kind of people, it's hard to understand the highest school of thoughts because you have to kind of follow the steps to understand. So it's like saying, you want to climb the 100 step of ladder without going through 99. The only option that you have is you have to fly.
So there's no shortcut?
Shortcut,
Yeah, as long as you know the fundamentals.
I've been looking for the shortcut.
If you have a
You have to start from the beginning.
So you can rent a helicopter or plane.
So you can get previews and come.
Yeah, unless you have a special realization that you achieved in between.
There is a shortcut.
Thank you.
The best way is that, have a serious meditation, and once you reach the physical and mental pliancy, you will have a special, ability where you don't have to rely upon lots of, stages. You can just go, it's like but you don't have to rely upon, shortcuts.
Can he show us this?
I said he don't have these shortcuts.
You did it the hard way.
Story about life.
What was
The escalator's out of order.
His Holiness wrote a book that also was the fourth one we talked about earlier.
His Holiness book. One of the teaching that he gave for tenets, but he don't know the book. A book, I don't know.
The recording here.
So there should be a recording of his, teaching at New York.
That was in Miami, right?
Miami.
We talked about that earlier on.
Miami, New York.
No, it was in Miami, and I'll
It's the
look
same.
up in my recommendation what year it was.
Yeah, the assumption.
Yeah.
Kari rawi kurve jingam bependa dewa mage jungwe ne jere sewa tenjin jazo yin shobe zide bozo tengyo jin jambu pawe chita kemba ta kundu sambo nde ande jin de ta gungi jazo ndalo jin yowan de ta tamje rabdo mo tizuma shabe yawa tamje mo wa kanlo chodo ba de ndage in the land encircled by snow-white mountains, the source of all happiness and balance, those new persons and recipients in man of samsara, just as the bodies of Majushri attain omniscience and Samanava, these manners, with all the rituals for the past and concentration, praise the servants and supreme. So now I take that the forces of my merit for all these perfected actions.
Oh, yeah, thank you.